Hey, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Bryan Kimbell on the line, and he's founder and chief strategist over at Ethike Marketing. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
All right, so I'm excited to get to today's topic. So we're going to talk about the benefits of being a purpose-led brand. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into Ethike Marketing. Tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first questions I get is, where'd you come up with Ethike? And I'll tell you, it's spelled E-T-H-I-K-E. It's based on an Aristotelian philosophy that he outlined in Nicomachean Ethics, where he describes how your character is reflected in your behavior, and how in today's world of branding, there's a lot of different philosophies of archetypes and character traits and personality, and you talk all about, you're skirting the issue of really how does your brand behave. That's where I'm going with Ethike Marketing, is pulling the philosophy of behavior-based character development within a brand. So you're developing this personality and this archetype for your brand. Now, how does that brand behave? How does that person, so to speak, that archetype, how do they behave in all facets of the business? So I'm taking it from my experience working as a consultant from an agency all the way through to working on the brand side and running sales and marketing teams internationally. Now relating all of that experience into helping executives to really understand how their brand is behaving and how that relates to their ability to attract and retain customers.
That's awesome. And I think that's a great transition. So into today's topic, so talking about the benefits of being a purpose-led brand, where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, what's really interesting is that over the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a big groundswell of purpose-led brands doing just amazing things. And some research has come out recently, refers to 80% of customers that expect businesses to contribute to society, yet we only know that 25% of those consumers trust businesses to do the right thing. But if only the business leaders knew that purpose-led brands grow up to 14 times faster than their counterparts, I believe that they would do the right thing, that they would contribute to society and become purpose-led. Many of them don't know how to make that leap. How do we go from making widgets to making widgets for X, for something else, for a larger, broader purpose of things? There's many examples of it in today's society, but that could bring us down a rabbit hole of different examples, and I'd love to discuss any of those with anybody, any of the listeners. But really, the benefits way outweigh those costs of switching to or becoming purpose-led and becoming passionate about even your personal passions as an executive can turn into great rewards on the corporate side, on your business side.
So Bryan, and I like where you're going with this. So meaning, once upon a time, the idea of being purpose-led or having maybe even a business with a double bottom line and that social aspect of it kind of ingrained, like a Tom Shoes, one of the pioneers, or things like that. I mean, once upon a time, that was looked at as something that was novel almost, or just something that you did. But now, with society, with buying, with consumers voting with their dollars, I love that stat that you bring up where it's saying, no, there's actually a business case for this also. So if you can create these win-win scenarios. So if a business owner or business is listening to this right now, and I don't want to oversimplify this because there's only so much you can do in a 15-minute interview, right? But if somebody's even thinking along the lines of maybe going down that other route of becoming, what are some of the, of becoming more purpose-led in their overall mission of their company? What are some things for them to consider that can kind of help them start going down that path?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm so glad you asked it, because it is the fundamental first thing that I try to drill down to when I work with clients, and that is really defining the one thing, the one thing they want to put their flag in the ground about, and they never compromise on. Now, core values are one thing that's overlooked in many corporations, and they say they have values. They have corporate values. Many of them mention return to stakeholder profit, or returning profit to stakeholders, which isn't a core value. It's a result of trying to reach a different goal. So what we want to do is really get to the heart of what could drive a company to not only create more than just a physical product or a service, but also to retain employees, to get the employees to be extremely excited about going to work every day and drive them. So sometimes this is driven from the executive, and in small companies, it always is driven by the executives. A larger company example would be Patagonia. Yvon Chouinard, they're kind of the flagship example of this, where he was absolutely driving forward his belief in sustainable environmental policies within regard to their corporate structure and how they source the products, et cetera, and how they support environmental sustainability now and conservation. So that has attracted that type of employee and that type of customer. And it turns out there are a lot of those customers. So they've been growing massively over the last decade, especially when they've been able to put that flag in the ground, and they've really, really claimed that one thing that they're all about. They're not trying to be everything to everyone, because if you try to be everything to everyone, you're not going to please anyone. You really want to do that. You want to be polarizing. And many executives don't want to lose customers, and they think that being polarizing will lose customers. Well, being polarizing will get customers. Will get the customers you want. Will get your brand advocates. Will make them customers for life. So the most difficult part of what I do is to help executives define that one thing that really makes them stand out and be different. And that's what it is to try to help them to get to that point.
Yeah, it's so tricky, and it's always like that when you're thinking about, and you use the word polarizing, I just like to say you got to pick your niche. I mean, we got to make it, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You just have to pick your niche and what you want to do, and you have to get better at it, and you have to continue going down that path. And for us entrepreneurs out there, that can be hard, right? Because we want to keep on, like, we have ideas, and we want to do other things, right? But you can't. You have to keep going further down. It's funny, like, even on my team, when we talk about, like, other things that they want me to do, and I'm like, nope, our niche is podcasting. How about we just keep on doing that? It's working. But it's like, you know, and that's what you have to do, though. And so it's like, oh, right. But if you were to do this, if you get into this, then we could have that market too. I'm like, nope, let's just go further and become the best podcast company we could possibly be, and that's what we'll do. and you know, things are going to come and go, but we do well in that market. We don't need any other market. You're fine.
And that's perfect. And there are many companies out there, they look and they say, well, we have a lot of competition. You say, okay, so you're trying to grab every customer from them, or the ones that are right for you? And when you look at market share, et cetera, if you look at a market, you say, well, there's a ton of competition, but there's no clear leader. You should be that leader. So put the flag in the ground, stake a claim, see that is, as long as you're in the right industry, that is. And sometimes companies make pivots and they move to different industries because they find out that actually what they're doing wasn't a good fit for that one. Could be service related or product related. But there are many ways that you can actually expand and grow your business, driven through purpose and through a belief in what you do, rather than through money, and money as a result. It's something that comes as a result of reaching a different goal. Becoming the best podcaster company in the world, that it doesn't say the richest, but as a result of reaching and becoming the best podcaster or podcast company in the world, you will find the financial benefit along the way. That will come to you as a result. So that's the key differentiator. You have to get away from the big greed mentality that kind of grew out of the 80s and the businesses that grew out of there and became these behemoth companies that are all about shareholder value, but not about consumer value, not about conscious consumerism, not about thinking circularity within your supply chains, not thinking about where the product's going after the end of life cycle. Those are all very important questions and very relevant for not just today, but tomorrow and the next 5 generations.
So, Bryan, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Ethike Marketing or working with you and your team, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, they can learn a little bit more on ethikemarketing.com, and that's ETHIKE marketing.com. And they can also find me very easily on LinkedIn. Bryan Kimbell, BRYAN, Kimbell, KIMBELL. And I would love to chat with anybody. I always, talks like this are free. So I love chatting with motivated entrepreneurs, and definitely would love to hear from any of your listeners. And if they tell me that they're a listener of this podcast of Mission Matters, then I definitely work out a better initial consultation for them. That would
Awesome.
be meaningful for me, because then they actually already connect with the message that I'm putting out there.
Fantastic. Well, Bryan, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background, all the great work you're doing over at Ethike Marketing for your clients and to the listeners. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. I mean, love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Bryan, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you.